Hi, my name's Audrey, and I'm looking to be adopted.
How'd your parents die, Audrey?
My parents aren't dead.
Then why are we adopting you?
You don't do good phone work.
I disagree.
That's what it says here. It says you're better not dealing directly with people.
What else does it say?
Well, maybe my beauty was only meant
Otto, this is Audrey.
Nice to meet you.
on death's bed.
Honored to get to speak with you today about this film because I mean, honestly, I was captivated from the start with this one. I just think your characters are just so intriguing, like Audrey, and just even your past characters. You always do a great job of playing characters who are kind of mysterious and very layered and make me want to know more about them. I'm wondering what do you think is the key to kind of playing those captivating characters?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, captivation has to start. That's the witnessing journey. I think if you aim for captivating, you're probably going to land at the wrong thing, So I think that you have to start with a good script and a great director and want to enter into that vision. And I think with this one, it was just a character that I had never seen before. I think traditionally, I mean, I've seen more now and they're definitely coming around. With Frances McDormand's like No Man's Land and Michelle Williams and Lucy and Wendy. And, they're out there. It's just traditionally, I think maybe as a young woman growing up, if I had thought of this type of sort of, listless, kind of rootless character, jack of all trades, it was always a man, right? It was always like this masculine guy comes into town, he's a floater, he's going to come out, he kind of messes with all the girls in town and then leaves.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen the sort of feminine expression of that journey. And not only had I not seen it, it's also a journey that I think is deeply resonating for us all. There's a deep collective social experience of kind of being raised in grind culture, given this sort of mantra of DIY or die, it's sort of like you have to do it yourself, you have to be self-reliant. And really, I mean, what's amazing about the pandemic in some ways is that all of the cracks emerged from that, and
Yeah.
so what's interesting is we made this film in 2019 and they were there, those cracks, but they're even more presented now, where we're really needing to ask the question, not of self-reliance, but of community care, and how can we float and go from job to job and still feel a sense of purpose and not failure? And how can we build a life that feels rich to us while it's kind of being oddly isolated and not having as many social opportunities,
Right. Yeah. And I know that was great. And I also love the element of like, parent and children here. And there's one of my favorite lines from the film, and I don't want to butcher it. I may not say it exactly correctly, but it was when Sunny in her video says, parents don't understand the things they say to kids can have such an impact. And if she had kids, she would be a parent who thinks about what she says. And I thought, I just love that. And I'm wondering, because I know you have a son, and I was wondering, do you think through a lot before you say certain things to him? And what is the most important thing you hope to convey to him during his transformative years?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think it's on every parent's mind. I think that there is a deep, every single thing you say has the ability to be transformative, and so it's not conveying, because I find that there's always going to be a limit to words. And particularly in a child's mind, in the developing mind, that's so deeply still connected to touch and animalistic behavior. And, all of the intellect is there, but without the modern tool sets of like hyper conversationalist.
Yeah.
So I find that it's through demonstration. If I want him to have a love of books, I have to demonstrate my love of books. If I want him to have a better relationship with screens and iPads, and I have to demonstrate a better relationship with my phone and screens. And so in a way, it's sort of this beautiful boat of you become a better person because you can't just tell them to do things, you have
Yes.
to embody it, you have to show it. I have to eat that broccoli and be like, embody joy instead
Yeah.
of being like, oh, I gotta eat my broccoli again, because then that's what he's gonna learn. So it can be moderately exhausting because being so gosh darn demonstrative can be like, okay, I just want to be bad mom for a little bit.
Yeah.
But we find those ways, we find those people that can support, our resting journey, so that we can be fully present and demonstrative for our children.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point, because you're right. It's not just what you say, it's how you act. And
Mhm.
because just like children care about what you say, they're watching so much and kind of absorbing that. So that's a great answer. Well, I also loved how Audrey the videos she was watching on YouTube that would kind of like accompany her when she was like lonely.
Yeah.
And I'm a big cat videos and food. That's like my go-to. But I was wondering, what is your go-to videos you like to watch as your comfort when you're alone?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean it's a beautiful modern conundrum, and I love seeing it of like, what is our digital content expression for
Mhm.
disassociation? Like, how do
Yeah.
we want to just like zone out? Like, everyone has their thing. And
Yeah.
I think that changes, like you could start here, you could go there, and then also like the zone out can be particularized. Like, it could be a grief zone out, it can be a boredom zone out. And so I think
Mhm.
we reach towards different things for different
Yeah.
activities.
Yeah.
Um, but I love reality TV. Honestly, like I just want to look at other people's lives because sometimes I feel pretty isolated in my parent journey. And I just miss that like sloppy, like going to the coffee place and there's all these things and this stuff. And so yeah, I've been watching like reality dating shows, which is really, really fun. But then my zone out on like social apparatus is kind of more the TikTok, like educational, like how do you cut a pineapple, like what to do with your like bagpipes if you have, I mean, whatever. I love those
Yeah.
kind of things. I think it's really fun.
Yeah. Good ones. Yeah. I'm just curious because you said reality TV and I'm a huge one. What's your like number one dating show?
Oh my god, Bachelorette, Bachelor, I love it. It's on tonight, but I'm going to
Yes.
here, so I'm like, okay, I really, I'm
Oh my
dedicated to
God.
my work, I'm not going to watch it.
Same. I'll refrain, but that could be a whole discussion in itself. But well, another really great scene in this film is when Audrey is gifted a sentimental gift. I won't reveal too much more about that scene, but I really loved it. And it just made me wonder if you had any kind of sentimental item that maybe you were given from a parent or close friend that you hope to pass on as well.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think what's so cool about sentimental items is that it can
Hmm.
be anything, you know?
Yeah.
It can be a lock of hair, it can be an old child's tooth, it can be a music box, it can be 1,000 things.
Yeah.
Because it's really not about the object, it's about the story behind the object. And we're so deeply sentimental animals. I mean, it's really um, like 80% of our language is reminiscence.
Hmm.
Um, so I feel like it's really nice when characters on film have an object like that because it can be a key in to a, a depth of the story that the film may not allow in exploring, but can give you a little glimpse
Yes.
into. Um, I feel like I have so many objects like that. I don't know. I can't even pick one. I grew up where I moved around a lot and was sort of really poor. And I remember it happened a few times where we'd have stuff in storage and then we'd lose that storage unit, or we'd move and lose something in the move. And I feel like I was constantly losing objects that felt so
Hmm.
meaningful. So any little thing that I have from my childhood or from my parents, I'm like, yes, I'm oddly a pack rat where I have like my 12 things. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. No, and it's so true that I think that's why I like scenes like that, because you can't like tell a whole person's story in less than 2 hours, but an item can say a lot about a person.
Mhm.
Just an item, a photo, and I like that insight we get into a character. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. Well, I had also watched a Q&A that you had done. I guess it was also you had shown this film, but you mentioned how you felt the most important work you did was the work you weren't paid for.
Mhm.
And that really stayed with me. I was wondering what has been the most important work that you did that you weren't paid for, and why was that?
Well, I mean, I say that in the sense of like, with acting, you get paid to show up, right? You get
Hmm.
paid to kind of the work on set. But the most important work that I was always exploring was the pre, right?
Hmm.
The sort of thinking about the character, relating to the character, and then also sort of the not work, which was just being human and just having a set of circumstances that you allow a curiosity to form about, so that you can constantly be re-examining things and learning from the tiniest things of just like, how to clean your thing, how to be a human, how to hold this job, you know, how to succeed at the DMV. Like there's just a trillion things that are so important to us, but that they're not valued by monetary gain.
Hmm.
Um, those are the types of things that I feel like are the most, that's my most important work, is just living
Yes.
life.
Hmm.
Um, but also it's because I'm an actor. And so I'm literally, if I don't have good life experiences, then what can I be adding to these characters?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I know also in that Q&A, you made this great analogy about how your past films were kind of like you were planting seeds, and it was like kind of seeing what tomato grew the best, or whatever. And so I was kind of wondering, what is you have this great like resume of movies that you've been in, but is there a film that you get most excited about when people bring that up to you? Is there one that like really like you're like, oh, I'm so happy that like the fan loved that one?
Um, I don't know. I guess sometimes it's not even, it's more just like you saw that, it's more like when people bring up films that were like so tiny, or like The Book of Stars, or like the little tiny TV movies I did when I was younger, like Hidden in America, or like The Ballad of Lucy Whipple. It's like so obscure. And I was like, oh wow. But it's not because of the film. It's more just because of their obscurity in the larger scope of something where, you know, these five films get the most attention for whatever reason.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there is one that's more meaningful. I mean, they're all pretty meaningful. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. So is there a movie that you're most excited to show your son when he's old enough to watch it, of yours?
Sucker Punch. I keep trying to show him, and he's just
Oh,
not that interested in live action yet. He's starting to. I took him to see Thor. He's like, okay, that was kind of cool. And so I don't know. It's like stepping out of the animated cartoon zone. Um, just because, like, I'm such a badass with it. I'm like, look, I like
yeah,
slaying
yeah.
dragons. It's so cool. And he's like, okay, that's you. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Maybe there's films I have done that would be good teaching tools that like explore humanity in a way that I could share with
Hmm.
him. But I also feel like I'd rather him just discover what he wants to discover, instead of me like, now let's watch a video of mine that I made when I was 10 years. Like, no kid wants that.
Right. That's got to be his choice, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Tell you something about me. I move around a lot. I get someplace and things are working out, then they just stop working out.
Everyone, give the steaks to me. I'm going to finish cooking them correctly. Give it to me, all of them.
I'm talking to you as if you are my child. I've forgotten how disagreeable that is.
I think it's time for me to go.
You ever feel like that, where you're just ready to see something else?
I mean, volcanoes